my buddy Mike Gillespie from ABC Columbia yesterday mentioning how much fans have this game circled with what was said at SEC Media Days about the glasses comments, with the 7 out of the last 8. He asked if Shane Beamer and the team was feeling any of that extra emphasis on the Kentucky game this week.
This is a game that was a big game when I was here before. I remember, I think I talked about it last week, was the Kentucky coming in here nationally ranked on a Thursday night and us winning. And then all you guys that were here remember, we beat Alabama. They were number 1 in the country. And then I'm still having visions of Randall Cobb on fourth down or whatever it was on a game-winning touchdown pass. This game's always been competitive, and I think it's two programs that have a lot of respect, for each other. And it's certainly a critical game for us. It's the next one on the schedule. And we had a heck of a game with them last year and couldn't quite finish and get over the hump and win that game. And I know our guys are excited for the challenge this week.
So Shane definitely sidestepping that one. After the game on Saturday night, if Carolina wins, he will absolutely admit, there was a little something extra to this one. Really hope the Gamecock fan base enjoys this one, and I would think acknowledging the significance of it. He knows. And he knows he shouldn't say anything. And that's what we just heard. Players don't know. I think most players don't have a clue how much this game means to the fan base. Why it has a lot of you where you are right now. Because the being able to feel superior to a entrenched fan base in the SEC, I think meant a lot to Gamecock fans. I remember very distinctly the independent days. I mentioned Virginia Tech a little while ago, going up to Virginia Tech, and I know Shane has mentioned that as well. Shane and I are basically the same age. So for some reason, that series really sticks out. I think in both our memories, how to just be in a big-time environment, really fun games. Because you didn't get that consistently then against an almost an equal opponent that was in a similar situation. Like they were independent then too, right? It's crazy. We're talking about independent college football, isn't it? To where we've come now. But that's the way it was. And then for South Carolina to make the massive move to the SEC, everything that signified, right? It meant, especially at the time, Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, in that order. Maybe Florida, Tennessee, Georgia. Put it in that order, whatever it was. Florida and Tennessee, national powers. Georgia, not that. But had won a national championship, a dozen years before or so. And still a really, really good football program. So those were the main challenges, right? And then it was, all right, where are you going to win football games? And for South Carolina, in the division then, it was Vandy and Kentucky every single year almost. Vandy certainly every single year almost. And Kentucky, yes, you're a better football program than them. That meant a lot to Gamecock fans, I think. Hang your hat on it. And now to have finished in the top 10 3 consecutive seasons, to have won an SEC East Division championship back in 2010, but then to almost immediately in 2014, that's when this streak started for Mark Stoops at home against the Gamecocks. Hasn't lost. To see Kentucky get in the passing lane, move you over. Or maybe they passed on the right side, right? Where you thought your program was in the passing lane at that point, and Kentucky and Mark Stoops just in some kind of what weird vehicle would they be? Maybe a beat up pickup truck, wouldn't it? In their beat up pickup truck with a few bumper stickers on the back, right? Something like wussies wear sunglasses, or defense is the best fence, or something dumb, right? Just zoom on by. Just like, how does that guy, how did they pass us? I think. And then especially when you had a guy with a very similar mindset as the head coach, blue collar, defensive minded, not going to beat ourselves, disciplined football team, preparation is key. And the other program does that better than yours. That's tough, man. That has been the biggest disappointment of South Carolina football in the last decade, hasn't it? 7 out of 8 to Kentucky. With what Kentucky represented in the SEC to South Carolina football. Craig says we really are in as good a spot as we can be going in on Saturday. Health-wise, more days to prepare. Played a lesser opponent last week, and they're beat up. And their quarterback put his finger on backwards. It's just hard to be positive yet, Craig says. Yeah, I think Gamecock fans, you can start to build that hope, man. It's okay. I think you need to know you're in a much better spot. And there are factors in your favor in this game. There absolutely are. Now, there are plenty of factors, too, in Kentucky's favor. The big ones, right? Having a physical defense that's proven they can limit a run game. Having a history of winning this matchup, certainly in Kentucky's favor. They expect to beat South Carolina. No one on that team has ever lost to South Carolina in Lexington for sure. And very few have lost to them at all. That means something. It could mean something in the other direction for South Carolina players. If Shane Beamer can convey how important it is to play well and to prove themselves. I think how many people doubt this South Carolina team and how a win at Kentucky can do exactly what he mentioned. He tried to convey to his team symbolically by picking up trash and putting it away, clean it up, get whatever's in your way out of your way. This is the next obstacle that is in Shane Beamer and South Carolina football's way to getting back to relevance nationally. You can't win on the road, you're irrelevant. You're not a good football team. South Carolina hasn't been able to win on the road. Winning at Vandy this year doesn't change that. You're going to tell me it's the first win for the program under Shane Beamer on the road in the SEC? Yeah, that's something. Vandy doesn't count. We all know that. It's the SEC and Vandy. Kentucky counts, and they count significantly right now in the SEC.